Welcome, friends. Today, we're talking about cryptocurrencies, which are becoming particularly interesting right now because of the US government and, of course, Donald Trump through the Coinbase 50 index. These are the things you should pay attention to these days. These are the projects that are simply much more interesting. These are the projects that are somewhat more future-proof because they have these specific connections. For example, projects coming from the US could potentially be tax-free in the future for US citizens. And that alone would be extremely attractive for US citizens. And that's where most of the money is. That's why we're looking at 3 projects today, especially discussing them in terms of long-term potential. Let's talk about Avi, Ondo, and Psi Network, because these are also projects that, for example, are part of Donald Trump's company. Even Trump's company is investing in AVE and Ondo. They recently announced a partnership with Ondo, and those are positive things. You can't downplay that. Let's start with 11. The overall picture there is that we basically also came here in 2020. Here we had our first bull run, here we had our top, here the bear market low. Accordingly, this is our 1, here the 2. And in this cycle, we would need to reach at least the 3, and here we have a minimum price of $100. So from the current starting point, we're looking at least 5,600% that we could see here. But it can easily go up to 15, 116, 17, and things like that. We'll take another look at that. We'll calculate everything a little more precisely when the time comes, of course. At the moment, we can only roughly calculate all of this, but we already have minimum price targets of $100. And from now on, it's still very, very attractive to invest in this project, for example. Then we have the next project, which is Ondo. Here, it's a bit harder to calculate the technical chart because Ondo is a budget project. But here we've already shown you in the RWA sector, Ondo is really good. They are so well diversified. In my opinion, it's the best RWA project. They have some connections to BlackRock and the USA. And they now have a special partnership with Trump's company. That's why Ondo is really a very, very attractive project, even if you are so new. Technically, we had an ABC here. We had a good correction. In my opinion, we have now found ourselves in the 1. Now here we have a corrective 2. Here, it's important that the 2 doesn't fall below this level. If we fall below this, then it's right here. Not a 5-wave upward movement, but just an ABC. That's why it's really important that we hold this level and stay above it. As long as it stays the way it is right now, it's good. From here, we expect wave 3 to come in, then a corrective 4, and then into wave 5. If we had completed the overarching 1 here, from there it would need to correct again into wave 2. And then we would move into our overarching 3, and that would be up here. So here we also have minimum price targets for Ondo in this bull run of $10. We should at least see that. That would really still be the pessimistic scenario. And that's why I'm telling you here, we can see over 1100%. If, of course, everything technically aligns as we see it. But we can already show you minimum price targets. Whether that actually happens later is, of course, never set in stone, but you're definitely better off if you already have a decent chart analysis for these projects. Otherwise, I personally wouldn't invest in such a project. As I said, that was it for Ondo. Now, let's talk about Psi Network. Psi Network is also a project where the company has been partially invested in by Trump himself. Psi, pretty much VC driven, came out this year, so it's also a fresh project. It went up very well, had a 1, an ABC correction, and here we believe that we have completed the 2. Here it's also really important that we don't fall below this 10 cents. If we were to fall below this, that would be the end of this bullish scenario. Then we would need to recalculate the chart. As long as that doesn't happen, we would then have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have to imagine, for wave 3, we already have price targets of 187s. Then we have another correction, then up to the 5, where we already see at least $3 in this cycle. From now on, it would be quite tight again. 1300%, which we see at a minimum for Psi Network. Also an interesting project, but we really have to say that we are currently very extremely corrected. Here, it's important that we find the turnaround, because at some point it gets too low and then there is no turning around. More. That's why it would be good if we could slowly find the turnaround here and gradually build ourselves up properly again. That's it for AVE, Ondo, and Psi Network. As I said, these are projects that I find interesting because of their connections. And that's why I showed them to you today. Feel free to write in the comments which projects I should include in the next video, where I should make the next price predictions.